Thursday we boxed. I'd say, you know what? He probably got the better of it a little bit because mainly on conditioning. It wasn't anything tactical really that he was better than me at, but conditioning-wise, he could push the issue a little bit more than I could. And he went 8 rounds, and he was able to work a little harder than me, But I saw during the sparring, I was able to do certain things as far as give him a lot of illusions, make him feel like he has to work in certain moments when he doesn't really have to work. But if I give you that illusion a lot of times, put you in certain positions, how you react to it, making you throw punches when you really don't have to, making you work when you really don't have to. I generated a lot of work out of him, which does 2 things. For me, it shows me that he needs to sharpen up his intelligence a little bit, his instincts in the ring, his experience. But also, even if he threw those punches in those spots, I say, hey, you know what? I'm getting him to work harder. I'm getting him to work hard. Even if I'm not working as hard, I'm not able to punch in those spots because I'm trying to condition. My body's conditioned only to throw so many punches around at this point. I was like, I gave him the work he needed, and that was it. The next day he had the picture where he put his hands behind his back. I had done that to him too. So I was a little ticked off, but I wasn't like, all right, this is like offensive, But I had done that stuff to him too. And I already knew that he had his own sparring partners, his own photographers there, So I already knew that the only people allowed to take pictures were his photographers, the UFC photographers on behalf of him. I left Monday. I was home all week Monday because I was in New York. And in New York, I was working the Bruno Garcia fight week. So I had to work for that Bruno Garcia fight week. Well, one thing I remember, I made sure I did. I made sure I jogged every single day I was home because I needed my conditioning to get better, And I jogged. I got home Monday. I jogged every day from Tuesday to the following Monday when I flew out. I even jogged the morning I flew out, Mm-hmm. So I conditioned myself, and I even got 1 day of sparring. It was a few rounds, but it was with a sharp little young contender named, young prospect / contender named Thomas Lamano. It's a 25-2 record, I got some sparring in with him as well, just to keep my eyes sharp, Like I had the first sparring with Conor, and I had the second sparring with Lamano. Even if it was just a few rounds, my eyes are getting sharper, and I realized even in the Lamano sparring, my reflexes, my counterpunching was coming out a little better, So I said, just because really when I left the first time, they just didn't rub me the right way. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I was mad, but I said just something fishy about these people. You know what I'm saying? They put me in some kind of crack house. They had me spar 8 rounds, and I just got off a plane day after. He put up this picture. I wasn't mad, but I was starting to become guarded, So that's why I made sure I prepared during my week off. And sure enough, I was right. I get off the plane the following Monday. I get landed in Vegas, and they tell me you're going 12 tomorrow. Now, for people that aren't familiar with a boxing training camp, no sparring partner is ever expected to do 12 straight. No sparring partner is expected. The fighter in camp does 12 straight, but the fighter in camp does 12 straight. He'll do like 4 with one guy, then alternate him and bring in the other guy for 5, and maybe the last guy for 3, or so on and so forth. You break them up, so that does 2 things. It keeps the sparring partners, you're getting the sparring partners all at their best without over-fatiguing, and then you're getting each guy fresh while you're tiring. So it puts you in situations where you have to be, what I just said, uncomfortable. You have to start getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Because a lot of times when you get to the third guy, especially if they can all fight, because I always had training games where I used prospects or guys who were on the rise, all of them can fight. So by the time you get to the third guy, you're tiring, you're uncomfortable, and and this guy's fresh, he's looking to beat the crap out of you, So that you're developing in camp, it's important to develop your tactical stuff as well as your character, Character is important in fighting. But it's not just about X's and O's and tactical stuff. You're also there to get to a point where you're uncomfortable. I'm not talking about being uncomfortable or jogging the extra mile or bicycling the extra couple of miles when you're biking. Nothing like being fatigued in those situations and having somebody come in there kicking your ass too. Nothing. If you're being fatigued and running the extra mile, or you being fatigued and biking the extra 5 miles, that doesn't compare to you being fatigued and having a fight against the guy who's in there fresh. You know what I'm saying? So you build that character in camp as well, because it's all inside you, but you have to bring it out, especially when you're building comfortable for a couple of months in between fights, Mm-hmm. So these are things that I think are important, And so him not having sparred the second day stuck out to me, and also when I got back, him now expecting me to go all 12 stuck out to me, except for the one thing. In my mind, I was smiling because I said this time I came ready. This time I made sure during my week off, I kept ready, and I kept working my conditioning and my sharpness. In his mind, looking back, he probably thought Paulie had a tough time getting through the 8. I'm gonna set him up for 12. And he's gonna have an even harder time doing 12 because last week he wasn't here. He was working, so he's probably not in the best of shape still. And last week he wasn't here with me. I was working out all week. That's probably what he's thinking. I mean, it's what I'm assuming he's thinking based on the way he acted. They put me in for 12. I get to the gym the next day. He's got all kinds of dignitaries there. He's got Lorenzo Fertitta there. He's got Dana White there. He's got his agent there, Adi. His name is Adi. He's got a couple other people I don't know there, you know? Another thing that checked off in my mind, because usually sparring was so private that I couldn't even bring in a trainer for my corner. You know what I'm saying? I had to just have the sparring partners work my corner, you know? So I couldn't have any of my trainers in camp. It was so private, nobody was allowed in. It was so private that when you walk into the gym, you have to leave your phones in a box so that nobody can take sneak pictures or record. It was this private. Yet he was having some dignitaries coming on this particular evening. Again, I thought to myself, this guy thinks he's going to stop me tonight. He's banking on catching the guy who could barely go 8 and had a tough time doing the 8 the first time. And now he brought in all these dignitaries so they can speak about how great he looks. And at my expense, once again, I say the key phrase, at my expense. It's always at my expense. I was angry, but I knew I came ready this time. And the sparring starts. Another thing he has about every single sparring, he wants Joe Cortez, the referee, wants him to referee like it's a fight, which is fine. I understand you don't box. But he also wants stare downs every time because you got to get used to boxing. Buddy, you come to the center ring and get instructions as stare downs. That happens in mixed martial arts too. There's no difference there with boxing and mixed martial arts. So when it comes to these stare downs, I was like, it's all about his ego. This guy is all about his ego. He's actually not trying to get better. He's got a bunch of yes men in his corner who tell him he's doing good even if he's doing bad. It's all about that. He always thinks he's doing good even if he's not. It's just about him and cheerleading. Just bring your pom poms in. You know, because there's no reason for anybody to actually be there. You know what I'm saying? Aside for having a cheering section. You know. So, whatever, sparring, so we go through instructions, stare down, whatever, and the sparring starts. And I'd say, you know what, he hung tough the first 5 rounds. I came out sharper, I came out with more of a purpose, but he hung tough the first 5 rounds. He even landed a couple of big shots. But I was starting to, take over. You know, my work was more consistent. My style was more consistent. My counterpunching was sharper. My jab was sharper. There was just more consistency on my part. Because here's the thing. People ask me, did he get better from the first to the second time? He did. Honestly, Ariel, he got better from the first time to the second time. The thing is, it's still something new to him, so he's growing. The increments at which he's growing at are still smaller. I've done this for 20 years of my life. So from one sparring to another, the rate at which I progress is a lot faster because the muscle memory comes back. The reactions and timing start to come back at a faster and faster rate. So even if he got better from the first sparring, I got way better from the first sparring. And the third and fourth one would have got better and better and better. So by the end of camp, this guy understood after 2 sparrings that his ass was going to get beat the rest of camp. Because the way sparring went on Tuesday was this. He hung tough for 5 rounds, but he had to work more than he wanted to. But he hung tough for 5 rounds. I had more purpose. I was sharper. I was hitting the body. He was landing some good shots too, especially in those early rounds. He was hanging tough. From about 6 on, he started becoming very hittable. Started becoming so hittable that I was putting more weight on my shots and sitting down more on my shots. And, of course, the body shots started affecting more and more and more. Of course, I'm talking the whole time because the first time he made sure to talk the whole time. Now I'm talking more and more, and I'm letting him know he can't hang. These body shots feel good, right? You know, I used to use taking these body shots in MMA because in MMA, the body shots aren't the same as in boxing in that there's a consistency to the body shots in boxing. It's a debilitating breakdown to the body shots in boxing. Little by little, you feel the air coming out of you. The fatigue increases. You can't throw as hard. You can't have enough snap on you don't have enough snap on your shots anymore. You can't throw as often as you want to. The body shots in boxing do this to you little by little. They increase the rate at which you fatigue. And I started understanding this, and I started seeing it in his face. And what did I say about character? What did I say about a fighter who really shows that he's a fighter during what moments? During these moments. Conor got to this moment now. He stopped talking. He wanted to save as much energy as he could. He stopped throwing as many punches. He caught a nice one for about 5 rounds. The nice one he caught the whole time while I was talking. As a matter of fact, and this is where, he's a yes man. After 7, which is one of the worst rounds, he sits there and he tells me, 7-0 me. And I remember walking back to my corner, yelling back at him. I said, whatever school you went to, they didn't teach you how to count, huh? I went back to my corner. I was feeling so good, I started yelling at Dana White ringside. I started yelling at him, and I started saying, this is the bitch you brought me here? I said 24 hours ago, I was on a flight. Then I lied a little bit. I said, last week I didn't do anything. I was just working. I did work out last week, but of course I wanted to pump myself up. The last week I didn't do anything. I was just working. I was just talking. I was just trashing out Dana. And I wasn't talking trash about Dana. I was talking to his face, but I was yelling, making a point, and I knew the yelling that Conor heard me across the ring. And Dana didn't acknowledge it in any kind of emotion. He didn't say anything, but he was looking right at me as I was saying it. So he basically let me know, I'm listening to you, but I'm going to react to it, and I'm not going to say anything. But he heard exactly what I was saying. I was looking right at him. And then we went back out for 8, 9, and 10. One of those rounds was the push-down round. Now, the funny thing about the push-down round was this, that he tried to play like it was a knockdown. It was during one of his worst moments. He pushed me down on the floor to try to catch a break. The instant I went down, I got up. And I remember, as I continued to trash talk, I said, "So, buddy, you need a break?" I said, "You needed that break?" Because, Cortez has to step in. He has to wipe off my gloves. And I started taking it right to him right after that. I said, "There's no breaks here. So you don't get no breaks." And I started hitting him more body shots. I said, "Take those." I said, "They don't feel good." I started hearing him whimper with the body shots, too. I said, take those. Eat some of those. Get used to those. Because now the work is more consistent on my part. I got to say, there's question marks here from me. Because at about 10, the fatigue started coming from me. So after about 10, I was spent. And I said, "No, I got to do 12. They told me I got to do 12. I'm going to hang in there for 11 and 12. I flew cross country the day before. I'm still not in the best condition, but I'm in better condition than the first time. Conor impressed me in that 11 and 12. He came on strong. And he landed some really good shots in 11 and 12. I was starting to fade out in 11 and 12. I remember thinking this is probably the last time I'm going to fade out. So these are his last 2 free rounds he's ever going to have against me. But I remember thinking he did show character. I remember saying, he caught a mean one from me for about 5 rounds in a row. And then, he showed some character in coming back the way he did in the last 2. But the question mark in my mind was this. If I had been as consistent as I had just been, would he still have shown that character in 11 and 12? Or did he show the character in 11 and 12 because he saw the fading and there was less activity from my part? That was what I wanted to find out the next time, because there was no more free rounds starting the next time around. There was no more me flying in 24 hours before. Both times I sparred him, keep in mind, I just flew cross-country 24 hours before. Both times I sparred him. Even the first week, I stayed 8 rounds. They didn't use me the rest of the week. They could have used me Saturday and gave me a couple of days to recover from the jet lag, but they didn't. You know what I'm saying? So